if I may give a quick introduction
Sure.
to those who haven't had the good fortune to have met Elaine before, but you're in for a real treat. I think so. And because Elaine is an adept, let's put it that way, great adept tantric practitioner. It's true. She's very humble and she will deny every word I say, but she really is. But otherwise, also just a short history. She's been a student of Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa since the 70s. She was one of the founders of Vajrapani Institute, the first center that the FPMT had in North America, and Lama Yeshe, Lama Yeshe started the center along with Elaine and others. And she was also director there and also the resident teacher till recently. So, and she has done many retreats there, including a 3-year retreat. So we are we are very, very pleased to have Elaine again. She has kindly been teaching here at TNL. So we're very fortunate. So thank you, Elaine. And yeah, that's it. So maybe I'll just do a short mandala offering, Elaine, if I may. Heather, if you would put that on the screen so everyone can go do it with me. Saji Paki Joksing Meto Tramrira Blingji Nidegan Padi Sangye Jingdu Mikte Uwargi Jokunamada Jingla Chobarsho. And then, holy and perfect pure Lama from the clouds of compassion that form in the skies of your Dharmakaya wisdom, please release a rain of vast and profound Dharma, precisely in accordance with the needs of those to be trained. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami.
Great. Great, 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 great. Well, I feel quite honored to be here amongst all of you. And I know some of you from the past. And well, I have to say that it's just really quite a wonderful opportunity to come together, to take this brief introductory look into Tibetan Buddhist Tantra, as it was taught by Lama Thubten Yeshe in the late 70s and 80s. And it was codified by my dear friend, Jon Landaw. So this is the text that Jon Landaw put together with teachings that he and we received over these years that Lama taught. So without taking many liberties, this retreat will closely follow Lama's teachings. Now, I had the rare good fortune to know Lama Yeshe, to be his student, to serve as his secretary one summer, and to celebrate with Lama and others during pujas and trips to the beach. It was Lama who hooked me with his joyful wisdom, his compassionate heart. He had a unique ability to inspire his listeners with a confidence that each one of us could actually become Buddhas, that we had an unlimited potential just waiting to be tapped. We could all become Buddhas. And Lama Yeshe often said about Buddhist practice, it's scientific, dear, meaning it's based on knowledge as opposed to ignorance or misunderstanding. It's not made up. Tibetan Buddhist Tantra is an ancient science of spiritual development. the rare opportunity to study and practice is due to the kindness of our teachers. So it's excellent to conjure this sense of gratitude. Gratitude for all those who have gone before, and gratitude for our opportunity to be here together now. So not long ago, to join a retreat like this, really, in our lifetime, we can remember this, we had to do a lot of advanced planning, right? And maybe travel great distances. We would have left our family and our pets behind and separated from our ordinary life. This was certainly true in ancient Tibet, where the yogis and yoginis would travel for days by horseback. And then, wearing their best attire, they would enter the Gompa with a reverence for the rare opportunity to hear Buddha's teachings. But nowadays, you know, we have this multitude of teachings available online, and we can enjoy them in the comfort of our own home. And I think as a result, we might mistakenly believe that this opportunity is quite ordinary. But truly, it's not ordinary. And it will be our attitude that will determine how much benefit we receive from our time together. It would be nice if we were able to create a sense of being in retreat together. You know, to facilitate such a feeling, it's nice if we have our cameras on. I know sometimes people have a hard time with that because of bandwidth or, you know, various reasons. But recently I was reminded by Venerable Rene Fusi the importance of being present, of seeing as you are in the presence in a Gompa, receiving teachings, that it is a rare and precious opportunity and should be treated with reverence and especially an attitude of, wow, I'm so fortunate. So Venerable Rene, in a teaching not too long ago, said that, you know, we come to these teachings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, you know, with all of these amazing lamas around the world in many different traditions, and we don't have our camera on, you know, and we eat our snacks and sip our tea, and we don't shave, we don't, you know, comb our hair or dress nicely. So there's an attitude that comes with thinking of the teachings as being precious. And it opens our own heart and it gives us a blessing to be able to hear and receive more than just by the by, you know, off the cuff, another few words of Dharma, but rather to think, okay, I'm really going to pay attention. I'm really grateful to be able to be here. So to take this opportunity to deepen our curiosity, you know, to deepen our commitment, the commitment to grow our spiritual intelligence, and to motivate by thinking, actually, I can do this. I can, and I will become a fully enlightened Buddha. And then I'll lead all beings to that awakened state. And so for that purpose, I'm going to engage in this retreat. And if we allow that intention to fill us up, give us courage, let our heart be full of that determination, and let it put a smile on our face. How wonderful. Yes, I can and I will. This was a great gift that Lama had, that he passed on to all of us, this inspiration that each one of us can become a Buddha. So just to share my intention for the logistics here, how I think we'll conduct the retreat, that we'll begin each session with a meditation to grow our concentration and our wisdom. And we'll follow that by Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, accumulating virtue. Both are foundations for the success of our spiritual practice. And I'd also like to have some time for questions. If you want to participate by asking questions, not to be shy. We're a small group and there's no reason why we can't say, oh, I didn't get that, or, oh, could you say more about that? Whatever it is, you have a question, then raise your hand and we can go more deeply into any of the topics if I have any knowledge about it. So that's my intention. Does that sound good? Does that sound like a way forward? Happy to do that. And of course, we can revisit it if you feel you'd like to do it in another way. But the truth of the matter is we need to grow our concentration. And we need to accumulate merit, to accumulate positive blessings, positive energy. And this Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga is a really beautiful practice to come closer to the Guru. This is what we need to come closer to the Guru. And all tantric sadhanas, without exception, have Guru Yoga as its foundation. So it's a warm-up for other tantric practices. It's a warm-up when we begin a tantric sadhana, a daily practice. We begin with Guru Yoga. We begin by gratitude, by prostrating and making offerings. And this sort of softens our heart. There was a quote that I read, some years ago that touched me. And I can never remember the Lama who was quoted. It wasn't in the Galupa tradition, so I don't remember the name. But at any rate, he said, when your eyes fill with tears and your body shivers from gazing at the face of your Lama, then ask for blessings. So we conjure over time this attitude of feeling how precious it is to have teachers who have fulfilled this path, who have completed this path, who can lead us along this path. It's a rare and precious gift. But we have to grow that. And the way that we grow it is by practicing, because when we receive benefit from the practice, then we have gratitude for the teacher who gave it to us. Right? So this is an important thing. So I'm going to invite you to take your meditation seat. Our posture is the foundation of meditation. So wherever you're sitting, sit fully. Take a good seat. I sometimes liken it to feathering your nest, being comfortable and finding a seat where you can be stable and still. It's useful to take some deep breaths. Maybe take 3 deep breaths as you inhale, straightening your spine. And as you exhale, letting go of your day. Placing your hands in meditation posture, your left hand cradling the right, your thumbs touching, if this is comfortable. Raise your shoulders slightly and then let them drop. Let them relax fully. Let there be a slight curve in your neck. Your jaw and tongue naturally relaxed. Your eyes might be lightly closed or hooded. They might be open, gazing at the in-between. And we settle the movement of the breath naturally. Inhaling and exhaling is natural and easy. And with that, let all the parts, all the limbs fully relax. Relaxing in this way, yet remaining upright. We rest evenly in momentary present awareness. Not chasing after the past, not anticipating the future, not analyzing the present. Rest evenly in present moment awareness. Rest evenly without anyone doing the resting, or without anything putting into a state of resting. Leave behind all effort, all exertion, and settle evenly. Resting like space without a center or a periphery. Whatever thought or mental affliction arises, whatever feeling or experience arises, rest evenly without blocking or encouraging. Rest without mentally engaging in anything at all. Our attention is infinitely renewable. If you find you have been captured by a thought, simply return gently and kindly to rest evenly in present moment awareness. In a non-conceptual state beyond all mental engagement. Simply awareing. thoughts will come. And they will also go. They need energy to survive. Sometimes one thought right after another. Allow them to be self-liberated. Without analyzing, without augmenting, without liking or disliking. Resting in clear awareness. Resting evenly. With a relaxed body and mind. Remind yourself of your motivation, your intention to free all beings from their cyclic prison cell. And realizing that we need help to do so, we turn to our refuge. We confirm our bodhicitta, and we practice Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, beginning with calling our Lama, who will arrive in front of us in the aspect of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of beauty, creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that of So Heather, if you would like to share the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga practice. We can do it together, or I can chant it, whatever you feel is most useful.
I didn't actually prepare to share that, so that'll take me a minute to.
Okay, well, okay. Actually, if everyone has it,
I have it in front of me if you want me to share it, unless you want to do it separate, each of us.
in the past, it's often been nice to do each one on their own, so that you have it in front of you, and still we have our Zoom open. It's up to the participants how they feel they like to have that. I mean, do you want it on the screen as we go through it, or do you want to bring it up yourself and move through? I'm happy either way. I have it in front of me, so I can.
Well, since nobody will speak, I can just, it's nice to see people's faces, I think, but,
Okay, then.
but I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of butting in.
Okay, it's good. If people have a difference of opinion, then tomorrow you can say so. Put it in the chat and say, please. I see someone says on the screen, please. So,
do we want to make this a democratic process? It seems like maybe since we're kind of on our heels, maybe Shankar, could you share it in the chat? I just didn't have that in the instructions to prepare.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I just got it off the website, so I can just.
It is in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Practice is in the chat.
Oh, it's what you shared just now. I apologize, Elaine. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that.
No worries at all. Easy
Okay.
going, easy going.
Then I can share it very easily. Okay.
Well, okay, maybe we share it and we will go. Yes, we'll do that until the dedication, and we'll drop out of the practice, and then I'll say a few words, and then we'll come back to the practice with the dedication.
Okay, great. Let me just do this here. Oh, for goodness sakes. It's not just.
Okay, so we need to go all the way up to, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So we've already called our Lama. So there they are, right? In front of us, yeah? So if you can imagine then your Lama before you as Shakyamuni Buddha, just imagine. And then imagine now also surrounding you, your mom on your left, your dad on your right, friends and family behind you, the troublemakers in your life in front of you, and all the sentient beings, just filling space. And think, from your heart, I want to lead each one of those to enlightenment. And we're going to do that by participating in taking refuge, that which will help. So we begin with refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings have equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do so. And now we feel our Lama in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha appearing before us, melts into light, comes to the crown of our head, and descends down, dissolving into us and granting us blessings. And then we prepare the place to invite Lama Tsongkhapa. May the ground everywhere be pure, free of roughness and all flaws, soft as the palm of a child's hand, smooth as polished blue sapphire. May all space with Samantabhadras, clouds of offerings be filled, offerings human and divine, both actual and imagined. And as we recite this multiplying mantra, then imagine that all of the offerings that we visualize before us multiply and fill the universe. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Pramadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Mahavajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mando Pasam Pramana Vajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodana Vajre Soha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Pramadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Mahavajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mando Pasam Kramana Vajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodana Vajre Soha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Paramadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Mahavajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mandapasam Kramana Vajre Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodana Vajre Soha. And then we invoke Lama Tsongkhapa. You emanate on snow white clouds from the heart of Buddha Maitreya, Savior of 100 Devas, joyful realm Losang Dragpa, all-knowing King of Dharma, with your two-heart disciples, I beseech you, please come before me. In space on lion throne, lotus and moon, my kind guru, smiling with delight, is the supreme field for my faithful mind. Please forever abide and teach us. Your holy mind knows all phenomena, your fluent speech a sweet melody. For the ears of fortunate beings, your form resplendent with fame's glory. I prostrate to you, who is meaningful to see, hear, and also bring to mind. pure water and well-arranged flowers, fragrant incense, lights, perfume, and more. Clouds of offerings, real and imagined, I offer you, supreme merit field. And this tune changes. Non-virtues of body, speech, and mind, transgressions of my 3 sets of vows, committed since beginningless time, all I confess deeply from my heart. In these times of degeneration, you made your life highly meaningful, renounced all the 8 worldly concerns, strove for knowledge and realizations. In your extensive accomplishments, I rejoice deeply within my heart. Lama in Dharmakaya's clear sky, from clouds of wisdom and compassion, please rain down vast and profound Dharma upon us fortunate disciples. I dedicate all of these virtues to the Dharma, all living beings, and especially that the heart teachings of Losang Drakpa remain forever. And then we offer everything in the universe as a mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa. Oh, this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, 4 worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. And now, as we begin to recite the mantra for Lama Tsongkhapa, the 5-line praise, we experience beams of light coming from Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 disciples. They merge into one, enter through the top of my head, and wash away all sicknesses, interferences, defilements, and negative karma. My body is totally filled with blissful light. So please join me in this magnificent prayer. We'll recite it twice in English and once in Tibetan. And then really feel this energy coming from Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 heart disciples, coming into your body, completely eliminating all obstacles to your health and well-being, all obstacles to your practice, all hindrances. Your body becomes filled with this blissful white light. Chenre, the great treasure of objectless compassion. Manju Shri Lord of stainless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of Mara's arms. Tsongkhapa crown, jewel of Tibetan sages. Losang Dragpa, to you I pray. Chenre, the great treasure of objectless compassion. Manju Shri Lord of stainless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of Mara's armies. Tsongkhapa crown, jewel of Tibetan sages. Losang Dragpa, to you I pray. Migme Tsewe Ter Chen Chen Rezi. Dreame Kien Pei Wang Po Jampel. Dupung Malu Jomze Sangweda. Gang Chen Ke Pe Tsugyan Song Kapa. No sang drag pe shabla soa. So now we make this request. O magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. So now, Lama Tsongkhapa's two heart disciples dissolve into him, and he comes to the crown of our head. And as we recite Om Ahum, white, red, and dark blue rays of light purify our body, our speech, and our mind. Mo. Mo. Oh, magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I achieve enlightenment. And so now experience Lama Tsongkhapa above your crown, melting into a small sphere of light. And let it begin to gradually descend down through the center of your body, coming to rest at the level of your heart. And let this light, the enlightened energy of love, compassion, wisdom, great joy, let it grow and fill your whole body. And bask in Guru Lama Tsongkhapa's blessing, energizing your love, your compassion, your wisdom, and your great joy. How wonderful. Feel that you have been truly blessed. So now we can come together in the room, closing the screen. So I can say a few words here. Does anyone have any questions about meditation or the practice before we go on? Okay then. So Shakyamuni Buddha is the founder of this Buddhist Tantra. He actually taught this Buddhist Tantra. It can be traced back to the time of the historical Buddha, who was born as Prince Siddhartha in the 6th century. And he renounced, you all know, he renounced his princely life after becoming aware of sickness, old age, and death. He had seen a mendicant who had the appearance of being at peace. And he left the princely life in search of a way to end all suffering and dissatisfaction. He engaged in quite extreme approaches, which he found to be misguided. And eventually, following a middle path between indulgence and denial, and avoiding all other extremes as well, he was able to actually uproot even the most subtle causes of suffering and ignorance from his mind and become a fully awakened Buddha, an enlightened one. And then he taught this middle way approach to life and spiritual development for 45 years. Buddha's teachings contain thousands of methods for overcoming mental and physical obstacles to our happiness and our well-being. And they fit into two categories, Sutra and Tantra. There are some differences to these two approaches, but the common foundation to both is the fundamentally pure nature of the mind. In the same way that clouds can temporarily obscure, but can't damage the light-giving power of the sun, so too the temporary afflictions of body and mind, our confusion, anxiety, and the suffering they cause can temporarily obscure, but can't destroy or even touch the fundamentally clear nature of consciousness. The ultimate purpose of spiritual practice, whether they're called Buddhist or not, is to recognize this essentially pure nature, to cultivate the purity of love and wisdom. According to Buddhist teachings, no matter how confused or deluded we may be right now, the underlying and essentially pure nature of our being is clear and pure. The existence of this pure nature of mind isn't a belief or some kind of acceptance of dogma. It's a matter of experience. Numberless people throughout history have discovered this precious inner treasure, this truth. The goal of Shakyamuni's many teachings and methods is the fulfillment of our highest human potential, enlightenment or Buddhahood. This state can be achieved by everyone. It's attained when all delusions, all greed, hatred, ignorance, and the like have been completely removed. And when all of our positive qualities have been fully developed. This state or complete fulfillment is characterized by unlimited wisdom, unlimited compassion, and unlimited skill or power. Acharya Geshe Lodin described the enlightened mind as a mind filled with the greatest, most far-reaching love, fused with wisdom and compassion, completely free of ignorant desire, ignorant hatred, and ignorance itself. It's an unstoppable wellspring of happiness, peace, and contentment, filled with boundless joy, and having no limitations to creating beneficial circumstances, reflecting that joy. According to the Sutrayana, the path to fulfillment is a gradual process of cleansing our mind of all its faults and limitations and developing in their place such beneficial qualities as love and wisdom. And this sutra path consists of creating specific causes, behaving ethically, developing our powers of concentration, and training in meditative insight, and so on, for the attainment of full future awakening. Sometimes it's called the causal vehicle to enlightenment. We're creating the causes for enlightenment. The Tantric Path is a speedier path to enlightenment. And although Tantric practitioners don't neglect creating the same causes, they take the future result of full spiritual evolution as their starting point. These practitioners learn to think, speak, and act now as if already awakened. So this path is sometimes called the Resultant Path. According to Tantra, perfection isn't something waiting for us in the future. Each one of us is the universal union of all universal energy. It's a matter of being able to recognize it. And through the proper practice of Tantra, all of our energies are harnessed to accomplish a great transformation using the energy of our own desires. So we're living in what's called the desire realm, the realm of desire. Each of our senses is hungry for its own particular food. The eyes crave seeing interesting, beautiful colors and shapes. Our ears want pleasing sounds. Our nose sniffs out agreeable odors and turns away from smells that are offending. Our tongue wants delicious tastes. Our sense of touch craves contact. Our desire for sensory stimulation is deeply ingrained. And our desires aren't limited to what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Our mind runs after ideas. Whose desires are really an integral part of our life. And what is behind all of our desires? If we look, I think we can see it's the wish for happiness. We all want to be happy. We may define it differently, but happiness is what we want. None of us wishes even the slightest suffering or disappointment. And if we check well, we can see that all of our actions are motivated by either the desire to experience what's pleasant or to avoid experiencing what's unpleasant. Unfortunately, despite our wishes to have nothing but happiness, we can see that we still have pain and dissatisfaction. Right? Is that true? Buddha told us to be realistic. Take a realistic look at our life. So if we're realistic, we can see that prized possession that we worked so hard to get. It breaks, or we lose it, or it gets stolen, or it simply fails to continue to please us. I once read a story by Ajahn Amaro, a Thai forest monk, wonderful teacher, wonderful meditation teacher, insight teacher. He said when he was a little boy, his family was very poor. And his mother would walk him to school when he was a small child. And passing the drugstore, he saw a small red car. I'm thinking it's probably like the little matchbox cars that our children played with, my children played with when they were small. And he really wanted that car. And his mother said, no, I'm sorry, we can't buy that car. So every day when he walked past that drugstore, he saw that car and he really wanted that car. And one day it wasn't there. So he went in and he asked the proprietor, what happened to the red car? And he said, oh, someone bought that. He was very disappointed. But it turns out his birthday was the following week. And lo and behold, the little red car was his birthday present from his mother. Oh, he loved that car. He totally loved that car. He carried it to school with him every day. He had it by his bed. He initially started sleeping with it. But over time, he would forget to put it in his pocket when he was going to school. And then before long, he never took it to school. And then before long, it was no longer beside his bed. It was up on a shelf somewhere. It had no longer captured his attention. It was no longer that thing he really wanted. We can see how things fall out of favor. When we marry, our loved one is the most precious one in the world. But in front of the divorce judge, it's a different story. And then we think about the jobs that you've had in your life, a job that you really wanted, perhaps a promotion, and you get that. And then you realize, oh, wow, it's a burden, it's too much work. So, everything changes, everything fades, our skin wrinkles, our intelligence fades. So sometimes it feels like the more we try to be happy, the more it eludes us. And from this point of view, perhaps life feels a bit meaningless as we chase after what we believe are the causes of happiness. Our efforts find us running around in circles, right? Until we end up frustrated, exhausted. Now, the purpose of spiritual practice is to gain knowledge that will reliably produce happiness, to break free from this circling. Shakyamuni Buddha referred to this condition of repeated dissatisfaction as, I know you know, samsara, which literally means to circle. And he prescribed many different methods for liberating ourselves from it. So the most well-known of his teaching, the source of all of our problems and disappointments, is said to be ignorantly produced desire itself. So liberation or nirvana is achieved by completely uprooting such craving desire from our hearts. Because the portal of desire are the sense faculties, those wishing to break free, achieve liberation, they're encouraged to treat them with caution, to exercise self-control. One is encouraged to place a guard at the door of the senses and to train in focusing on the dissatisfying aspects of the desire object. This is the Sutrayana approach. Now, this approach has value, but Tantra's approach is different. Instead of viewing pleasure and desire as something to be avoided at all costs, Tantra recognizes the powerful energy aroused by our desire to be a resource for the spiritual path. Because the goal is nothing less than the realization of our highest human potential, Tantra seeks to transform every experience, no matter how unreligious it may appear, transforming it into the path of fulfillment. And it's precisely because our lives are so intertwined with desire that it's to our advantage to make use of this energy, to transform our life into something transcendental, rising above all limitations. Our experience of ordinary pleasure can be used as a resource for experiencing the pleasure of enlightenment. States of mind that produce happiness are cultivated. It's natural when we cultivate a state of mind, they'll produce something similar. So this is true for both positive and negative states of mind. Through cultivating small experiences of calm and satisfaction now, we plant the seeds for our goals of peace and happiness in the future, the everlasting bliss and joy of full awakening. See, sometimes it seems there's a contradiction between experiencing pleasure and following a spiritual path. Many see religion as a path of denial or rejection of pleasure, and they feel guilty for even small experiences of pleasure. Lama used to say, like eating chocolate. But this guilty view restricts our basic human nature and is, in fact, another form of grasping, another way of locking ourselves into a limited view of who we are and what we can become. If we know how to experience happiness without the polluted attitudes of grasping attachment or guilt, we can cultivate deeper and deeper levels of this experience and eventually attain the inconceivable happiness of our full human potential. So what's the approach? How do we do that? Simply stated, it's to keep the mind continuously in a happy and peaceful condition as much as possible. Lama said, that's the logic of Tantra. He often used to say, enjoy as much as possible, dear, without grasping. So when Shakyamuni Buddha went in search of spiritual fulfillment, his approach was 6 years of self-deprivation to a point of making himself too weak to even think or meditate clearly. But when he gave up this inflexible approach of prolonged fasting and ate an offering of milk rice, he gained a resurgence of energy and clarity and quickly achieved liberation. And after that, he taught a middle way approach. And after he became a well-known teacher, there was a king who approached him and asked for advice on the path. He wanted to develop spiritually, but what would be a suitable practice for someone with important social obligations like a king? Buddha offered him the path of Tantra. Countless Indians and Tibetans have achieved full enlightenment by following these methods. And as Lama Yeshe said, Westerners can do the same. So we Westerners love instant results. We like the quick path. And it's also a path that has its emphasis on direct experience rather than blind acceptance. And this has Western appeal. Lama said, it's good. Westerners, will be good at practicing Tantra. So here we have to be really clear, though, he said. To gain real value from the path of Tantra, there are some important points that must not be overlooked. The first is our motivation. It must be as pure as possible. Lama says there's no way for us to reap the immeasurable benefits of Tantra if our motivation is centered on our own welfare alone. We need an altruistic aim. And secondly, we need to have patience and self-discipline to engage in the practices in a well-ordered way. We can't ignore the preliminary practices. And finally, we must be able to differentiate clearly between the essence of Tantra and the cultural forms that it's wrapped in. Lama said there isn't any benefit to pretending to look or act like a Tibetan. He says there's little benefit in saying prayers in a foreign language that you don't understand. Substituting one set of cultural conventions for another has very little value. So a superficial level of practice brings confusion. Lama says Tantra is far, far deeper than any language or custom. Tantra teaches a way to break free of all conditionings that limit our understanding of who we are and what we can become. There's nothing wrong with having pleasures and enjoyments. What's wrong is the confused way we grasp onto these pleasures, turning them from a source of happiness into a source of dissatisfaction. It's grasping attachment that's the problem, not the pleasures themselves. If we free ourselves from this habitual grasping, we can, as Lama said, enjoy ourselves as much as possible. All our actions can be brought into the spiritual path. Maybe that sounds impossible. But Buddha taught so many paths and techniques for the transformation of the mind into ultimate goodness. Lama Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gelug lineage, is very clear that in order to train in the Tantric path and progress along the path, it's extremely important to rely on a qualified spiritual guide, one who teaches out of great compassion rather than a desire for fame or wealth, one who teaches without confusing, exactly as those paths were taught by Buddha. I remember attending a commentary many, many years ago on a tantric practice. This commentary was by Geshe Gyaltsen, the founder of Thubten Ling down in Long Beach. And Geshe said during the commentary, he said, don't do a mess up. Don't mess up the order of the practices. They come in an unbroken lineage from the lips of the teacher to the ear of the student. Yogis and yoginis have been gaining realizations in this way since the time of the Buddha. The practices are to be practiced exactly as taught, without leaving anything out or adding anything in. So as Lama said, Tantra provides powerful methods for getting in touch with our essential wholeness, our unification of male and female energies. The practical question is how to make the techniques of tantric transformation work for us individually. Lama says we must be realistic. One of the biggest obstacles to true spiritual development is arrogance. He said this is particularly true in relation to the practice of Tantra, which uses desire on the path. Tantra does use desire on the path, but not by way of indulging our uncontrolled appetites, which will only increase the number of desires we already have. Understanding how ordinary desire works is critical. So if we think about it, normally we overestimate the positive qualities of our desire object, don't we? We distort reality. We project a deliciousness that distorts the object. And then what we grasp is that distortion. Our projection rarely meets our expectation, and then we experience disappointment. If we check, if we're honest, we actually tend to exaggerate the characteristics of all of our ordinary desires. We overestimate the beauty or worth of whatever we're attracted to, and we lose sight of their real nature. Their real nature is that they're changing all the time, just as we are. We act like it will last forever. We act like it will give us eternal satisfaction and joy. And we set ourselves up for this disappointment. We need to understand this habit of projecting a false notion of permanence on what we find desirable. The problem is that it's not conscious. You see, it's not conscious. If someone asks us, do you think your lover will last forever and always be beautiful or handsome? And we would say, of course not. We're familiar enough with change and decay and death to say otherwise. But this answer really comes from the intellect rather than from the heart. We grasp at permanence, and then we experience disappointment and unhappiness. The American author William Saroyan famously said as he was nearing his death, "Of course I know that people die, but I thought that in my case, an exception would be made." Intellectually, we know the truth that death is definite. but do we think that it will happen to us? And this is something to be contemplated. So I'm thinking, in order to be able to dedicate properly, we should probably stop here. If you have a question, I'm happy to answer if I can. Otherwise, we can share the screen and go to page, I think it's page 18, Heather. Yes. So this gives us an overview. It's the complete path composed by the seventh Dalai Lama. I really like this prayer. Venerable Renee shared it with us many years ago. I think probably Shanka, you recognize this prayer. Whatever you want for yourself and others with a human form is easily attained. Disengage yourself from meaningless efforts. Strive to accomplish the highest goals. Because all things composite are impermanent, life changes and never abides. That change is the basis of suffering. For the samsaric mind fills with frustration on watching its creations continually fade. The higher you climb in samsara, the higher the cliff on which you perch. The more things you own, the tighter you are bound. The dearer you hold someone, the greater the chance they will hurt you. The faster you subdue enemies, the faster their numbers increase. This body is a thing borrowed for a moment, and possessions are things stored for others. Now we dally with them, but quickly are they lost and misused, and only are sources of misery. Therefore, no worldly possession is worth the effort of gaining. Turn your back on that which only handicaps. An unburdened mind is joy supreme. The pinnacle of aims is to follow this path. Body, speech, and mind kept stainless with pure self-discipline. Mind held in samadhi, blissful, clear, and wisdom seeing all realities of every situation. The mother beings wandering in the six realms, to me, their child, are pieces of my heart. For many times have they soothed my troubles, and in infinite ways have they brought me joy. These infinite beings, so kind, are covered by the fog of ignorance, constantly lashed by whips of delusions. They have no chance to lay down the burden of misery from their minds. Therefore, whenever you meet anyone, greet them with eyes smiling with love. Why mention that you shouldn't even consider holding evil intentions or deceptive thoughts? The way people and things seem to be, other than projected labels, is a distortion created by deluded mind. If we look at the root of things, emptiness is clearly understood. And in the vast space of the perception of emptiness, mental grasping for the ultimate subsides. Then one looks into the face of the world. Everything is seen without essence. Understanding interdependence, we understand emptiness. Understanding emptiness, we understand interdependence. This is the view which is the middle, and which is beyond the terrifying cliffs of eternalism, nihilism, neither or both. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing. the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth. Those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha, lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. In the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of all happiness and good. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, please remain until samsara ends. Savior of the snowlands, teachings and beings, you clarify the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. Lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, may all your wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Great upholder of the moral way, bountiful bearer of everything good, accomplishing beautiful prayers, honoring the three precious jewels, sustaining and spreading Buddha's words, Gyabje Zopa Rinpoche, our precious Lama, please live long. And please take a moment to think of the people in your life who could use some extra energy right now, who are unwell in body or mind. All of those around the world who are suffering from sickness, disease. And all of those on our prayer lists. May they be well. And those who have passed away, may they have fortunate rebirths. And dedicating it to the long and fruitful lives of all of our holy lamas. Great. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nice to see you. Allie, it's nice to see you from the other side of the world.
It's nice to see you too.
Yes, good, good. I hope everyone is well. If you have any suggestions for me, I welcome them. You can always email me. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll try having the prayers be on each person's computer so that we can see one another in the group practicing together. Do you think we can try that? Yeah, good. Okay, love to you all. And if you don't want to read the prayers or enjoy, you can just meditate on them. That's equally as good. Just listen and meditate with these wishes because they're so profound, right? They penetrate our heart and give us an opportunity to really actualize this path, to actualize it. Okay, so be very well, rest well. I hope I see you, some of you anyway, tomorrow. I think 10 o'clock your time, yeah? I mean, some of your times. What time is it, Allie, where you are?
It is 6:30 in the morning.
Okay, good. Not too bad.
Not bad at all. The sun, it's nice to feel like the sun coming up as well.
Good. All right, you all. Nice to see you. Be well.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Elaine. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.